We have a very special episode today. On that, let me explain. I have the one and only moms in the house. Say hi to the listeners, mom.
Hi, everybody.
So, I'm going to be asking you a few questions in this special edition and just be honest. I want you to be open. I want you to be honest. This is something I've been thinking about doing. And we're going to start off just like this. So, what was I like as a kid? Again, be extremely honest.
Well, he gave me a few little headaches, but the good thing is when I would hit him with the chancleta, which is a slipper, he wouldn't get mad at me or uh, misbehave again. He was a little bit of a trouble little kid, I could say, but he was never disrespectful. He always respected me and followed my rules. Just once in a while, I had to put him back in line.
There's a lot of rules, a lot of chancletas. So with that note, was I a good kid or was I a headache?
No, you were a good kid. You were just like any other kid doing kid stuff.
So did you ever have a moment where you were like, this boy is gonna be something or is he gonna be trouble?
Actually, I knew you were going to be something because I guided you in that direction. I let you be trouble and I disciplined you, but also I showed you what life was really about and what it would happen to you if you got in trouble. Do you remember when I would take you to see the homeless people and I would tell you that if you be, even to throw garbage out, you needed to have a degree? I think some of that rubbed off on you because you did turn out to be a good son and a good person.
Well, one thing I can tell you, one thing I appreciate is, and I kind of try to do this with the boys now, is the one thing I appreciate about growing up is you always told me you got two directions. You can go the right way, the wrong way. You decide, you make your own decisions, and that stuck with me for a very long time. So in life, I always think about what consequences is going to be if I go this way, what consequences is going to be if I go that way, and I think I try to instill that into my kids nowadays. And that's one thing that, again, in life, I always tell the boys, always have a good heart, always do well, and good things will come to you. So that's one thing I want to tell you. Thank you. I appreciate that because that stuck with me as a man, and now I'm doing that as a father, trying to take care of the boys. What's a story about me that I probably wouldn't want people to know? This is your chance to put me on blast and do what you got to do and make a joke out of your son.
Well, one day my son knocks on the door, and I try to go with the flow with the young people, try to be with it. When I open the door, here's my son with his braids, and there's an
Oh
antenna on the
my
top of it
god.
that looks like an alien. I would have thought it was somebody coming to rob me, but I looked at his face and I knew it was my son. So of course I told him that if he didn't cut his hair off or take those braids off, I would do it for him during the night.
Which that never happened, by the way. So if some of you guys don't know out there, when I was young, I let my hair grow out for what, 3.5 years, mom?
Mm-hmm.
Three, four
Like
years.
4 years.
I would get it braids or cornrows, whatever you guys want to call it, every other week. It was something that I enjoyed. I liked my hair the way it was. I liked it long. I liked to get it styled. A lot of our friends after that would do the same thing growing up. So I appreciate. I know she didn't like that style, but tell the listeners. I know you like that. You liked it a little bit. You just didn't like that style.
No, you didn't look bad in them. I mean, it was the style. And like when I was a teenager, I always tried to look hip and be in style. So I, I kind of understood it. It was just that little style that you came in with that scared the shit out of me.
So we talked about the braids, which is something a lot of people don't know. Obviously, what I want to get your reaction on. What was your thoughts when I showed up with my first tattoo?
I liked it. I have nothing against tattoos. I mean,
I,
you
I
did
I
that.
can I can tell you that's not the reaction. That's not the reaction I had when I first got there. I thought I was gonna get killed. So you saying that you liked it now because you have a few tattoos yourself. But when I first got to the house with a tattoo, it was not the reaction you're telling me now though.
Oh, maybe I don't remember that going back that far, but honestly, I have nothing to say about tattoos. I mean, I didn't think anything of it at the moment. Maybe I don't know the age you had it on, just like when you wanted an earring. I wanted you to be old enough to know the decision you were making, which a tattoo is a life decision that you get a tattoo and it's hard for you to get it off.
Yep. Well, I got a lot of them now, so I made many of those decisions. So what was the most important to you when raising me?
My important thing was for you to be somebody that would be decent, would be respectful. I didn't expect you to have a career because not everybody likes to go to school, but I did want you to do something with your life because at the end of the day, it was going to be your life. I was going to be there beside you. I was going to be hurting and suffering if you did something that you shouldn't do. But I wanted you to be somebody that you could look at and be proud of. And actually, what I actually prayed for and I wished for is what I got, you know?
Well, I appreciate you pushing me because that's one thing I didn't want to do. I never wanted to disappoint you, so I thank you. What did you always try to teach me when growing up?
I always taught you to be a hard worker, never to kiss anybody in the wrong,
Kiss anybody's butt, be a
yeah,
brown noser.
kiss anybody's butt to get where you have to get, to always be original and not have to be like everybody, like they say, go with the flow. I really dislike that saying because the only ones that go with the flow are dead fish. Um, I wanted you to be somebody that is decent, like I said, respectful, and I really hope that I set an example for you, so that way, this is the reason why you follow these footsteps.
What were you most strict about?
Okay, one thing that I wouldn't have, I mean, as a mother, you always hope that your child does not get into drugs or does anything that'll be bad for them, you know. But I always try to be your friend before your mother so that you could come to me with anything and I could guide you in the right direction.
What sacrifices did you make that I probably didn't notice back then?
Well, this might sound a little funny, but every Saturday I would wear the same black pair of pants and the same black shirt. But my three kids always look sharp, whether it was from Kmart, whether it was from,
Kmart, you're dating yourself now, mom.
yeah, that school is, that store is closed. But even if I had to do a layaway in Kmart, even if I had to struggle, my kids always look good, even though it wasn't designer clothes. But they always look nice when they left my house, even if I had to wear the same thing over and over.
Well, you want to know something funny about that? You say about looking good every time you go out. You know, there's one thing that I do to this day that you taught me, and you'll make sure I was never wrinkled. And I
Oh.
never leave the house wrinkled. A shirt, shorts. Jesse can tell you we struggled in this cruise because we didn't have an iron. They took the steamer, so we had to find all these different ways how to iron the clothes, and that was probably the only thing we were stressing on the cruise because I did not want to walk out of that door being wrinkled.
I do not like being wrinkled either. And they would, and when I remember when I was in high school, they would laugh because I would iron my jeans. So
I do that. I do
and I
that.
would iron them with starch, you know. So I always made sure you guys were nice and your clothes were nice and pressed. And I still do like to iron, and I hate to see people that have wrinkled clothes. I don't know, just even if it's a nice shirt, I like it to be nice and ironed.
I hate wrinkled. I hate wrinkled.
So do I.
So we're gonna talk about something that's near and dear to your heart right now. It's your grandchildren, right? We're gonna especially talk about my boys. And I want to ask you this, kind of the first thing. When you see me with my boys, what do you think?
It brings back a lot of memories of when I was raising you. I'm extremely blessed and proud that you and Jesse gave me those two boys that, with no, I don't want to hurt your feelings or say anything negative, but you guys know, you and your sisters know that after my grandsons, which were the first were born, are what I most love in this world. Now I have two other ones, and they come before everything. You know, maybe some people disagree with me, but to me, that's what gives me the strength to keep on moving and to keep on living my grandchildren.
Well, all the great things you did as a mother, and I can tell you right now, it just multiplied what you're doing as a grandma. So we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for everything you do for all our kids. And what am I doing? What am I doing right as a father? And what do you think I can improve on?
That's a kind of a hard question because I see that you are a good father. Sometimes I don't see what goes on in your house, but I see that you're good, and that when I don't discipline them, you tell me, you could tell it's not your son that's not doing it. I mean, they're kids, and you have two good kids, and you're very blessed for that. And actually, I wouldn't change anything, to be honest with you. I don't know if Aaron and Austin would agree with me, but I see that you guys are raising them with respect, with discipline. something that I kind of don't have to do now as a grandma.
You let them run wild. That's the
Yeah.
problem. When they come back from grandma's house, they running wild.
Mm,
The funniest thing I always tell you is they don't cry. They don't cry tears of blood like you used to tell me.
right.
Or and then you look at me, you want to bring out that chancleta again on me when I tell you those things. So, but yeah. So when it comes to me parenting and you parenting and nowadays, right? So what's the biggest difference between raising kids back then and versus now?
Now they've taken a lot of authority away from the parents. Back in the days, I remember I would take out again that chancleta, or I would whip your butt if I had to, and the neighbors would hear me screaming, and your father, may he rest in peace, would tell me, "What are the neighbors gonna think?" And then I would go even crazier. But now, in order for you to discipline your kids, you have to be very careful, even in the words that you use, because the first thing they tell them in school is call 911, which one of you, I think it was you, tried that, and I said call him because he's gonna get his whooping too.
Yeah, I was messing around. I think I said I'm gonna call. I was small. I was gonna call somebody on you, and your exact words were, "Yeah, call him. He'll get beat down with the chocleta as well." But yeah, that was funny. Now that you mentioned Dad, if Dad was here right now, what would he say? What would that answer say? What would he think about how I'm raising Aaron in Austin, and what would he think about how we are at this moment right now? What do you think he'd say?
Well, your dad is very proud of you, the three of you. Um, in the part of raising, he wasn't very good when it came to raising kids. He always had an excuse for when you were bad, the teacher was picking on you, or he would behind your back, he would do the hand gesture to take it easy, that I'm being too rough. So I think in the raising part, we can't put your father in this one because he was too soft with you guys.
So when she says too soft, I'm gonna explain something to you guys. My mom used to put us on punishment, me especially, because my sisters were little angels to her. And when my mom used to put her on punishment, there was no TV, there was no anything. And just to guys let you know, if you guys out there know what the show MASH is, I knew MASH because when I was punished, I used to sit on the living room and watch MASH with my dad. Just imagine, a 6, 7, 8 year old, 9 year old watching MASH at that time. There's no reason or there's no business for a kid to watch MASH. They have no idea what MASH is. But since that's the only thing I can watch, my dad would let me watch MASH with him, and that's how I got to kind of learn about that show. Um, so when it comes to kids nowadays, right, Mom? Do
Hmm.
you think kids today have it easier or harder?
It all depends what the easier or the harder is. We had it harder because we had to struggle more for what the kids have now. Kids nowadays don't know what struggling is, right? They don't
I
know
agree with that
they don't
100%, by
they
the way.
don't know what it is to have to go like me. I know how to hustle. I know how to go out there and make a decent dollar, how to sell. I'm not embarrassed to decently make a dollar.
Garage sales every
I
Saturday,
used to make
guys.
garage sales every Saturday and make more money than what I made in my bank position in a week, because I would hustle. I would hustle for my kids. I would hustle for my family. Nowadays, kids, sadly, some of them, thank goodness I'm not including my grandchildren, but a lot of them, they don't even know how to add, because why? You use a calculator, you use a computer. The light could go off and I could add with a pencil and paper. Now you don't even use a paper and paper pencil. When you go to the supermarket, I put whatever I need on my notes. I had to learn that. Actually, my grandson has shown me a lot about technology. But kids nowadays have everything that on technology, so they don't know really what it is to go out and play outside. When I show them how to play the games that I used to play, they're amazed. Abuela, how do you know that? Oh, that's the way I used to play. In my house, I only had one TV. I think that I'm not traumatized, but I think that's why I honestly don't like watching TV. There was one TV. On Christmas, I would ask for something to Santa. I wouldn't get anything from the list. Why? Because my dad was the only provider for four children. So the kids nowadays, in my opinion, and which I'm not going to change, of course, but they get so much that sometimes they don't even appreciate what they have.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100% on the workforce, especially. It's bad. But hey, I was lucky. I was lucky to have parents like you and dad, and to make sure that that didn't happen. And so, leading into that, what do you think parents today get wrong?
Get wrong?
Yeah.
What do you mean get wrong?
So, what do you think they get wrong when raising their children? What do they do? What do you think they're
I
doing wrong?
think in order to be a parent, a good parent, this is my personal opinion, and it kind of worked out for me, thank God. On top of my praying and my, talking to God every day and putting you guys in God's hands. I mean, this is not a religious chat, but I do have a lot of faith, and I was never afraid because the thing is that nowadays, the majority, I'm not talking about all parents, they put themselves first before they put their children. And I always put my children first, and then I came last. Now I don't find anything wrong with going to the gym. I don't find anything wrong of going out on a night to go out. But sometimes they do it to the extreme that they're not dedicating the time that their children need. I would come home from work. I would I would go pick them up. Even my daughters now, they'll tell me, Mom, I remember when you would come and say, how was your day? And they're teachers. They don't see that. And not all kids, of course, but I would involve myself with them to know what was going around in their life. I would play with them. I would sit on the floor. I would I would be their friend and their mom. And nowadays, also because both parents have to work. I used to work too, but sometimes they don't put their priorities in order, and that's where the failure comes.
And I'm gonna ask you this last question before we wrap this up. All right. If you could give me one piece of advice as a father, what would it be?
It would be to continue doing what you're doing and always always your children's best friend before you're their father. Because the best feeling in the world and the best reward that you will get as a mother is knowing that your child could come to you for anything. The worst thing in the world. I mean, you guys came to me for things that your dad didn't even know. Not that I kept it a secret, but if you wanted him to know, you would have gone to him, right? So I think that when you have a relationship with your children, which I still do, and to me, my life are you guys also, I know that I could go to you for whatever I would need or just to talk to you. And you know that till my last breath, I will always be your mother and I'll always be your best friend. And that's what I want to continue seeing with you and my grandchildren.
That is a great way to end this podcast. So I want to end it this way. I want to tell you thank you. I want to tell you I appreciate you. I want to tell you thank you for doing a great job as a mother. I do know a lot of the sacrifices you went through when we were growing up, a lot of the stuff behind the scenes I know, and I know all the things you did to make sure that we were right. So from me to you, I want to tell you thank you. I want to tell you I love you, and I want to tell you thank you for taking this time to create this special moment between us. Because nothing else, this will be a memory that lasts forever. So again, I love you.
I love you too.
And for the listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was very special. This one was very nice. Till the next time, as we say, and Dad, let me explain. Peace.